The business data warehouse. So this section we're going to talk a little bit about the business data warehouse, which has kind of been a hotter topic recently. As we're looking at the architecture, the questions have been coming up. Do we really need to have a business data warehouse? What's in the business data warehouse? How does it really differ from our core enterprise warehouse layer? So actually yesterday even, if you have gone to datavoltinstitute.com and gone to our discussion forums, the discussion area, there's some recent threads on discussing some of the issues about this. Also, Data Vault Institute in the store, you're going to find a couple of topics that have to do with the business data warehouse. There's a white paper from Dan, there's a presentation up, actually has a donkey in it, talking about layers, so you can look at that too. But at any rate, the business data warehouse is a cleansed layer of your enterprise-wide data. Cleansed from the perspective that the business rules have been applied that may have something to do with common transformations that most of your business is going to take advantage of. Now, oftentimes, this was in your kind of CDW, depending on what kind of definitions you use, it was kind of your enterprise data warehouse to have that cleansed data. But because we need to be auditable, and because we need to have a pure, raw, persisted layer for all of our core integrated information, we need to have an enterprise data warehouse that has that pure layer in it. The business data warehouse allows us to apply the common business transformations with a little bit of less concern to things like interpretation, because the core history is already being maintained. So in a way we can have both. Now Ronald replied to the post strings last night, and he was good to bring up an article that he had written, co-written, that has to do with the CDW Plus. CDW Plus being that same kind of a concept as the business warehouse layer. Now the business warehouse layer then would serve as a second area that you may persist over time, again, that has the common business transformation rules in it. How do we model it? Well, one of the discussions we've been talking about is the modeling of that business warehouse could potentially be dimensional. It could be. But if you go dimensional, as I was talking about with John Bryan last Friday, John O'Brien, is you might run into some issues because your downstream delivery layer, your presentation layer, may not be dimensional. And if it's not, well, most of the time it is, but portions of it may not be. And if it's not, you have this layer you're drawing from that's already been put into a dimensional architecture, which may not make sense. It makes maybe more sense to use your EDW-wide architecture also for your business warehouse layer. We call it the business data vault. Business data vault because we use vault modeling in that layer as well. So another question that came up on the discussion was, is this meant to be conceptual or do we mean a physical layer? And we do mean a physical layer. We're talking about actually persisting data from a conceptual perspective, but also persisting it from a technical perspective, because that layer that auditable layer is so important, and our business rules are also important. Having those two constructs be physically available, it makes a lot of sense for us to do it. But whichever way you go, it's definitely imperative that the EDW raw layer definitely maintain its auditability. So that has to be persisted over time. So at any rate, if you're looking for more information, I recommend, please, datavoltinstitute.com. Go either to the discussion forums to look at some of the discussions going on. Go to the store. You can purchase for a couple bucks some of these white papers and presentations that help you to define it. And also keep considering that as we're maturing this whole concept of EDW, the EDW needs to now deal with a lot more requirements than it did before, and we've got some good ways to do that. Come visit us. We'll talk to you soon.